Yo, check it. 9th and 10th regions, stand up. I say stand up. Stand up. Bright light shining, about to put on the show. The Stay Hot podcast where the real ones go. High school hoops, future legends on deck. Talking next up, stars sport a Nike check. From the hardwood grind to the highlight play. Breaking ankles, dropping dimes, scoring every way. Chasing big moments in every manner. From driveway dreams to championship banners. It's the passion, the culture, the hustle, the grind. Every jumper, every crossover, greatness defined. Shooting the deep three or rocking the rims. On a small town stage or in sold out gyms. So lace up your kicks, turn the volume up. The season don't end till we get to rough. Future legends in the making, every player grinds. A Stay Hot podcast where the stars align.
Wow. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome. I didn't realize I'd miss doing this, Evan, when we took the year off. You know, you have people come up to you and say, when's the Stay Hot podcast coming back? When's the Stay Hot podcast coming back? People you didn't even realize listened. But, you know, Evan and I are back for the Stay Hot podcast. I think this is our third year doing it. We did take a year hiatus last year, but we're back this year. And, you know, I started talking to Evan probably 6-8 months ago, and gracious that he's joining me again. I don't think there's a sports writer in Kentucky as knowledgeable in our area as him. So always blessed to have him join us. So Evan, thanks once again for dedicating your time to the Stay Hot podcast. It's greatly appreciated.
I need to know, did you write those lyrics?
Well, yes and no. That is the truth. Honestly, I put the Stay Hot podcast into AI about high school basketball, and it came up with some general stuff, and I changed it to fit our area. And then I put it in another program that I could add music to it. So we can do country, we can do rap, hip hop, we can do any kind of form of music genre you'd like. So I actually thought it was a little bit, you know, better to add my own little flavor to it instead of getting sued for copyright infringement for the Snoop Dogg Drop It Like It's Hot instrumental that I didn't pay for the last couple of years. I was just glad that I wasn't on anybody's radar. But just to let everybody know that we do focus primarily on the 9th and 10th regions of high school basketball in the state of Kentucky. If you're new and don't know how we do things around here, also we'd like to, if there's a story statewide or something, we will talk about it, discuss it. You know, Evan and I will talk about rule changes or things like that. For example, the transfer rule, I know that's, you know, new. The one everybody's talking about is the shot clock. And don't know how much time we'll give to those tonight. At some point in time, we'll discuss them. But, you know, we always on our, you know, our first show is usually right around Thanksgiving. And we do kind of like the Stay Hot rankings. You know, you see the Cats Pulse comes out with their annual rankings. And you see all the Twitter sites, and, you know, I think the Courier Journal, Lexington Herald, all those, they also came out with their rankings this week. And, but I do want to preface our rankings by saying these are all subjective. These are our opinions. They're not going to sit well with everybody, which we expect, but I will also tell you that, you're welcome to have your own podcast and you can have your own rankings, and I will tune in to watch and, support your show as you support ours. But you're also able to comment on the show, and, you know, we can carry on the conversation. You know, somebody comment in the chat there, and I'll show you how this all works, and then we'll get started. And I'll let Evan kind of go. We don't want to take up too much of your time, but normally it'll be a Sunday night thing, I think, is the night we usually do it. But if you're in the chat, go ahead and post a comment there, and I'll show you how we can get going here. And let me see if I got so many technological things going on here. I didn't realize I was this talented that I could multitask like this. But so Evan, before you get started here, you know, I know you're covering football, and, you know, I know we probably got several 9th region people here. You want to just give a quick update before we get into basketball? If they want to know who's playing this week, the close by, if they want to tune into a game or attend a game or whatever.
Yeah, there's 7 Northern Kentucky teams left in Boone, Campbell, and Kenton County. For Class 1A, you got Newcath is at Campbellsville. Newport's at Kentucky Country Day. So those both for away games. Beechwood's at home, the reigning 2A champs. They host Prestonsburg, who's undefeated this year. Not sure if they've seen a team like the Tigers yet, though. Then in 3A, Lloyd Memorial still undefeated. They're 12-0. They host Russell this weekend, or Friday night in Erlanger. That's an 8 p.m. kickoff, so a little later than the other ones. Then 4A, you got two good ones. You got Highlands that's hosting Corbin, and then Covcath playing Boyle County in a rematch from last year's state region championship game. So should be a great one. And then Class 6A, Ryle is at Frederick Douglass in Lexington, and another which should be a great battle.
I'd say LinkNKY is going to be busy this week.
Yeah, man, we got I know we're going to have at least 4 of the games covered, possibly 5. So, yeah, Friday night's going to be a busy and late night.
Which kind of leads me into shouting out LinkNKY, Evan's Employment. They've offered through Evan to kind of sponsor our shows to kind of help us out. Reach out. I think linknky.com. Is that right?
Yeah.
Check out their stories, support them. They were gracious enough to help us out because the programs we use aren't cheap. And we do appreciate LinkNKY. As you can see up in the top, I guess it's the right-hand corner on my screen. I don't know what you see on your screen, but we do appreciate them. Yeah. Well, it's
your other side.
Let's get started then. So the one show that always got the most, not the most listens, but whenever we were doing strictly audio on Apple and Spotify, we always had people want to know our rankings, want to know what we thought. And it was always good conversation, good banter back and forth. And I asked Evan this week if he would send me his top 10 players in the 9th, as well as the top 10 teams in the 9th. And, he's done that. And to be quite honest with you, I told him before we went live that, I don't know how you begin to rank the teams in the 9th or even the players in the 9th as well as the 10th, because those two regions have some pretty strong basketball annually, year in, year out. So we're going to let Evan go ahead and get started. And we'll start with your top 10 teams. Tell us as much as you want to tell us about them, why you ranked them where you did or what you see them doing, and we'll go from there.
Sure. You throwing up the graphics?
Yeah, I'll throw up the graphic as we do it.
Okay. You want me to start at number 10 or number 1?
How you want to start? Number 10. Let's do 10.
We can start at 10.
Yeah, let's do 10.
So yeah, I mean, we'll go with number 10 here in terms of the top 10 teams. I'm going to put St. Henry in there at number 10. Tim Sullivan takes over. It's his first year with the program, taking over for the legendary Dave Faust, the all-time wins leader in Northern Kentucky. Not to go too much into, what happened with Tim Sullivan at Cooper and the whole fiasco there, which was a big deal last year. But he had spent, 17 years with that program, and he was the only coach there and brought them 2 region titles. And, what he's going to bring to St. Henry is a defensive mindset that team is going to guard, regardless of what capabilities they have. Guarantee they're going to be a stingy half-court defensive team. So I just think that mindset alone, they got a few kids coming back that are some good pieces, and I put them at number 10, mainly just off the coaching factor. They did graduate a few, but I think Tim will have them steered in the right direction pretty quickly. And
I'm not familiar with a lot of St. Henry or what they bring, and I actually haven't seen them. But I know anytime you add a coach like Tim Sullivan, your team got better.
Absolutely. And you throw in a few of those players, senior Caden Kunstek. He's the returning leading scorer and rebounder. He's recovering from a knee injury from football, so they're hoping he gets cleared here within the next week or so by the start of the season. So that'd be a big boost for them. And then some other players to watch this year are Tyler Detzel, senior Trey Fetters, and junior Cooper McIntyre. So he's got a good, I think, solid little nucleus to work with there. But yeah, St. Henry there at number 10. Going down, number 9, we got Beechwood, the Tigers, and Coach Ross Hart. Beechwood's had a lot of success these first 2 seasons with Coach Hart. They won the All-A last year and made the trip to Owensboro. And if you get out of the ninth region, even in the All A, it tells you you're doing something. And they had one of probably the bigger upsets in the region last year when they did it in taking down Newport. When Newport was kind of back pretty much to full strength at that point, they were kind of on a roll, and Beechwood came in there with Jack Sullivan and company and pulled off the upset. Now Sullivan's graduated, so that's a big void to fill for them. So they're going to have some guys that are going to need to fill in. Some guys that I think about that I think that are going to be key pieces this year for them are Kingston Brockett, who's a junior. His mom is actually the girls basketball coach there at Beechwood.
I love Celeste. Great person, great coach.
Yeah, heck of a ball player too. Back in her day at home,
I think she could still dominate me on the post.
So you got him. You got Cole Coppage. I think that'll be a big player there for them. Quentin Kneisel, he comes over from Covcath. He's now playing at Beechwood. Owen McCormack, he'll be a big piece there too for him. And then maybe some other role players as well. So I got Beechwood there at number 9, and they're playing in a very competitive, very, very competitive 35th district where you've got Covcath, Holy Cross, and an improved Holmes team as well. So there's not going to be an easy out in that district on any given night. So going down, number 8, I got Lloyd Memorial. Now, this is where I think number 4 through number 8, you could put them anywhere. It just so happens, I think Lloyd, with a lot of the turnover they had, and they lost, the program's all-time leading scorer, E.J. Walker, who's now playing in the SEC at South Carolina. And that's just a big loss to replace on top of how many seniors they lost as well. Talking to Coach Walker, I know Ray Schaefer, he did the preview on them, and they don't really have a set roster yet. They've only got 4 players on the KHSAA roster just because all the other guys are playing football right now.
And I was going to ask you how many of those guys played basketball, because I figured that their football team would go pretty far in regional action. So
yeah,
I noticed they only had 4 on the roster when I was looking at them.
Yeah, and those are just mainly the 4 key, pieces that are returning. From there, I think it's just a matter of figuring out once the football guys get in there. So, Coach Walker said, he doesn't really get caught up in these rankings, so I'm sure he doesn't care where they're put. But, it's a matter of they got to use that month of December to get back in basketball groove, and then they get ready for January and so on, and just get ready for district play. But the one star they do have is Anthony Blacker, who's picked up a couple Division I offers, had a great offseason, and picked up, some muscle, and he's improved his outside shot. So he's going to be a star. I really think it's a tight bat. A lot of people say Athens McGillis is the best player in the region. I would say, Anthony Blacker's right there with him, and I think that's going to be a great 9th Region Player of the Year race between those 2 players because they're both studs.
It'll be fun to watch.
To both stick out. And I think Blacker, he's going to be one of your leading scorers in the state, and I think he's going to have to be for this Lloyd team. Another team is going to defend really well in the half court, going to do, good things, and they just really guard you. So that's a team you're going to have to watch out for, I think, as the season evolves. Early on, they may take some lumps here and there, just getting adjusted to things, but watch out for Anthony Blacker. He's a special player. So we'll move on down to number 7, and that's the Newport Wildcats, which is kind of unfamiliar territory for them over the last few years. They've been considered one of the region's best in the last few years, but when you lose 3 players to high-level prep schools, it's going to take a hit on your team, and that's talking about Taylon Kinney, who's a Kansas commit. That's talking about James Turner, who's out west playing in Arizona. And then you got Chandler Starks, who's right there in the top 50 for the class of 2027 as far as nationally, and who's gone down to Orlando to play prep school. So if you have those 3 players right now, it's a completely different story, and we're putting Newport at number 1 and not number 7. There's still some good pieces there for them. They do have Amonte Lowe, who's a very good and wiry guard that can get to the rack. Perimeter shooting does need to improve for him, but he's going to be a guy that's going to have to carry a lot on his shoulders this year due to what they lost. He's going to be joined by Irvan Nichols in the backcourt, who briefly transferred to Holy Cross, but now he's back at Newport. So that provides them with a solid backcourt, I feel. So that, that's two pieces that Coach Snap has to work with, who's been, very positive in the offseason. I think, he's enjoyed kind of this fresh new perspective, and it's a new challenge. It's not like he's coming into the year with a lot of pressure as, being the region favorite and the team that should definitely come out of it. But with what they've lost, I think it's fair to probably put them more in the middle of the pack in the region, and then just kind of play the cards from there. They did grab a transfer from Lockland, Ohio, 6'4", so they do have some height there with him in what they have. And let me grab his name real quick. Sorry.
Well, while you're doing that, I mean, I'm not going to speak for Coach Snap, but as most coaches probably enjoy coaching sometimes when your expectations are at number 7 as opposed to number 1. A lot more pressure when, you're ranked up there at number 1 and supposed to win every night. So, I mean, a lot of times those coaches like to be in that middle of the pack range to where, you got some room to grow as the season goes along and people aren't putting unrealistic expectations on you from the start.
Yeah. And his name was DeVay Andrews Glover. He's a junior from Lockland, Ohio. He's about 6'4", so that'll provide them some size. And then Keegan Farrell is also back with the team after taking a year off and transferring up in Ohio, and he's back, and he brings some more size for them too. So Sean Hurry, he's a football player, so they'll be waiting to get him, but he brings some physicality. So they got some pieces there to work with, I think. And then they got the Petty brothers who transferred over from Campbell County. So be interesting to see this Newport dynamic and what they have. I think their schedule's toned down quite a bit. They're not going to the King of the Bluegrass or playing some high level teams in Ohio or Indiana this year. So it'd be interesting to see what the Wildcats can do this year. So they're at number 6, and then we'll keep going down to number 5 and 4 again.
No. Hold up. They're number 7. Go to number 6.
My bad. They were 7. Dixie Heights is number 6. Again, I think 4 through 8 is interchangeable to where each individual one could be there or there. And Dixie Heights, I think what impresses me the most is just how smart of a team they're going to play. They're very efficient. Scott Code's a great coach. And, they're a team, I think, that is not going to be fun matchup because just how efficient they are, how much they run through their sets. They're not going to score a bunch of points. Don't expect to see them in the 70s, 80s, 90s, but expect to see their shooting percentages high. They shot 53% from the field last year, top 10 in the state, 42% from 3, 72% from the free throw line. You do that as a team, you're going to be successful no matter who you play and what you do, and that was evident in their season in winning 21 games. The things to look for them is just how they replace Griffin Derry and Owen Nehus. They provided about 40% of their offense last year, but they do have Max Rubemeyer and Hunter Sang back. Sang kind of is a load there in the post. He averaged 11 points and about 6 rebounds a game, and then Rubemeyer was about 9.5 points a game. So with their pace, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
With their pace of play, I think they're going to be in a lot of games, a lot of grinded out games. I think what they need to do this year is show they can beat those upper echelon teams in the region, because that was an area where they kind of struggled last year, but still had a very successful season, the first one under Scott Code.
Well, I got to know Coach Code. I mean, always known who he was because I've competed a lot against Mike as a coach, but got to know Scott during the COVID year. Coach Code and myself, as well as Aaron Stam and Coach Ellsburn at Holmes, we'd get together during COVID. It was almost a nightly thing to where we were doing 2-3 hour Zooms and just talking basketball. And Coach Code's a cerebral assassin. I mean,
yeah, smart guy.
Very smart guy.
Very good basketball mind.
Very good basketball mind. I enjoyed learning from him. Yeah.
And then at number 5, we've got Connor, the Cougars. Nate Browning there. I believe it's his 3rd season. Hold on, I got to double check that. Yes. Hold on. Yeah, but I mean, with Coach Browning and what they got there at Connor, the name to keep an eye on is Finn Loudon. He's a gamer. Whenever the lights get bright, that's when Finn's game gets best. And just talking to Coach Browning about him over the summer. They played one of the top teams in Indiana out of Terre Haute, however you say it. But he put up like 30 points and a half against them. So when the competition rises, that's when Finn Loudon's game rises. They're going to miss a little bit in Chase Huff and Landon Warner. Those two guys combined for about 30 points a game. But I expect Brady Bushman to kind of fill in more in that role. Bushman's a heck of a baseball player, and he also brings some athleticism to the basketball court too. So, Loudon, I think he's about 40 points or so shy of 1,000 for his career. So he'll knock that out early in December, and a guy that can just fill it up. Some other guys to look for there are Tyler Warner, Logan or Landon's younger brother. He's a junior this year and step into a bigger role. And then they've got some height down low. They got senior Logan Bach, and then Holton Rader, who's about 6'4", 6'5". A real deep junior class there for the Cougars, and I think it's one that a team not to take lightly, and one that can definitely be there in the mix come late February, early March at Truist Arena. So there we have Connor.
Yeah, that's probably one team that I don't know about, but I enjoyed. Yeah. I researched their player that you ranked, and
Finn.
Yeah, Finn Loudon. I want to see him play this year. I really do.
Yeah, he's a baller, man. You can probably find a few highlights.
I'm hoping to find some nights that we're not playing and
get
a chance to see him play.
Mm-hmm. Solid team. And then number 4, I got the Ryle Raiders. Coach Nick Dorning does a great job there. His key word for them is toughness. They want to be tougher than you every night. And what they bring is that. They bring that toughness. They bring that physicality. And they got a nice backcourt too in Anthony Capola and Holden Smith. Those two guys can definitely fill it up. Holden's more of kind of your streaky, gets the rim, perimeter shooter, where Anthony he kind of mans the point. But those two kind of are interchangeable. Both great ball handlers, and both guys that can get it done. I think the key for them is going to be AJ Davis. He's a rangy kind of stretch 4, I guess you could say. But he had some flashes last year that showed you how good he can be, because they're going to have to find a lot of scoring to replace Landon Lorms, who was the program's all-time leading scorer, and a guy that's now at Thomas More playing for Justin Ray and the Saints. So, a team I think that's going to be in the mix again. They've got some high hopes for Blake Brose, who's a freshman guard. So they have some guards there that can really do damage. And AJ Davis is one I think you've really got to watch out for this year to take that next step and be. I think he can be one of the top players in this region. I really do. Shoots it well at about 36% clip from 3-point range last year. Knocked down 59 trays. So, that's about 2 per game, and I think that'll get even better this year. And then another guy to watch for is, correct me if I butcher his name, but Grace Nasuti, who's a transfer in. I think he came in from Chicago.
I hope you're not asking me to correct you.
No, not you, but I know there might be someone out there that says
somebody out there will let us know. I'm sure.
So I think he'll bring some rebounding prowess, what they'll need, because Jonathan DeGroff graduated and he averaged nearly double-digit rebounds a game. So, I think Ryle has the pieces to replace those guys and be a solid basketball team this year. And I think with them and Connor, it's going to be a war in that 33rd district as who the top team is between those two. And I think they're going to have some really good battles this year. I think Friday, January 23rd is the date to highlight Ryle at Connor, which will be it'll be a great game. And then what I like about Coach Dorning and what he does is he really schedules tough in December. They start with South Oldham, the team that made the Final Four last year, and shoots the heck out of it. And they got Holy Cross, Lloyd, Winton Woods, Newport. So, right off the bat, they're going to know, what they got. And I think somewhat of a good thing for them this year, they're not going to be waiting on many football guys. A lot of these guys, don't really play football I mean, Nathan Barracks is the quarterback, and he'll be a I think a key rotational piece for them this year on the basketball court, and Gavin Lyons as well. But it won't be like waiting on Landon Lorms to come in from football, who was a heck of a wide receiver too. So yeah, I think the Raiders are an interesting team this year, and one again, I think that's going to be in that mix from teams 4 through 8 that can get to Truist Arena and really concern some teams. Then we get to number 3, the Highlands Bluebirds, who they're, I think in terms of just what's returning, they return everyone. They didn't have a senior on the roster last year, so Kevin Listerman, does a great job there. They're the last Northern Kentucky team to win a state title. They did so in 2020 with Sam Vincent and company. So the Bluebirds, I think, are a very dangerous team this year. They can shoot it. They've got more experience this year, and just kind of looking at what Coach Listerman said in our basketball previews. I think the key for them is that maturity that they have, and what the growth that they have. So maybe not necessarily physically, but just in their understanding of the game and how they play together. And, hopefully those things translate for them into late game toughness and finding ways to win, to close games that maybe last year they didn't quite finish. Some key personnel for them: Vinny Listerman, recently committed to Thomas More. That's Coach Listerman's son. He runs the point. And then they got some really good skill players in Finn Bolden, who can light it up from the outside, and Nathan Rickard, who shot nearly 70% from the field last year. And then you got Owen Ebert as well, who was right around double digits at 9.3 points per game. So that's 4 guys right there that are putting up nearly 10 points per game that you're bringing back. So I think the offense will be fine. It's just a matter of what they find defensively. And I think also a thing to mention is Tate Lorenzen, most likely, to my knowledge, he's going to focus on football moving forward, which is very understandable. He's having a great year on the gridiron, and I don't expect him to see him on the basketball court this year. But I think Hollins is a very solid top 3 here. So I said, how we have 4 and 8. I think 2 and 3 could be very interchangeable, and then we get next to Holy Cross at number 2. The Indians are stacked. Ricardo Johnson, the head coach there, he has some big game experience as a player. Obviously, was with Holmes for their state championship team. Played at Xavier, and now he's in the head coaching ranks. And Holy Cross is a very dangerous team, I think, with Brady Gabbard and Nate Rominger, 2 players I think that are in the top 10 in the 9th region, and then Luke Allinghouse I think also can make a case to be in that top 10 as well. So they've got a very solid trio there, where I think it could rival Covington Catholic in terms of just your top 3 players and what they have there.
They also got championship pedigree at the helm.
Right. You factor that in, and it's a dangerous scenario to have. So Luke Allinghouse brings the perimeter shooting, where Gabbard and Rominger kind of, they're wings that, can get to the rack, finish strong, rebound it well. So those are 3 guys I think you definitely have to watch out for. Some other guys that got some key playing time last year: Aiden Earledge, Xavier Thornsberry, and then you've got Max Hunt, who's a heck of a football player too, who holds a Kentucky offer actually in football, coming off the edge. Amir Henderson, another kid to watch. So I think, Holy Cross is a very dangerous team. I keep saying dangerous, but that they're going to be right there in the mix. And that's where I think, that 35th district is the toughest district this year in the 9th. It's typically the 33rd because you have Cooper, Ryle, and Connor, and Cooper's kind of probably in a little bit of a rebuilding phase with everything that they lost on top of their head coach. And then where this year, I think the 35th, from top to bottom, this year is the toughest district in the region. So there you got that. And then we get to number 1, which is Covcath. That they were the unanimous number 1 by the coaches. I don't think this is any surprise to anyone. They got dudes, Athan McGillis, just a killer, man. He just goes out there and he's a flat out scorer. I actually talked to a kid that graduated from, I won't name his name just because we were kind of just chit-chatting, but he said Athens was probably one of the hardest kids that he's ever had to guard. And, Cooper's played some high-level teams throughout the past couple years and made state tournament runs. So for that kind of compliment for Miguel,
that's a high praise.
Yeah, and I think with Athens, like he could probably easily score 30 a night, but with what they have spread out talent-wise, he probably necessarily doesn't have to. I'm sure he will get his no matter what, but when you got Cash Harney with him in the backcourt, a dynamic point guard that's as quick as anybody in the region, and then they added Braden Myrick from Mason County, who also adds perimeter shooting and a guy that can light it up from deep. I think, didn't he tie Chris Lofton's record or even maybe break it for three-pointers in a game?
I remember him making a whole lot of threes in the game, but I can't tell you how many of it he made.
Yeah.
I know he made
like 9 or 10 in a game. I'd have to double check that, but he brings that. And then
was that against Fleming County or was that against Augusta?
I'd have to double check again. Yeah,
I'll go back and look last year and see while you're.
And then they've got Donovan Bradshaw too, who brings a very strong rebounding prowess, and a guy I think for them to really be successful and go to that next level, they're considered a top 5 team in this state. I think for them to really get there, Donovan's going to have to bring a double-double on a nightly basis, and it's something that I think he's very capable of doing. He did it in games last year at times, but consistently night in, night out, something that I think he can do. He was at 12.4 points and 7.6 rebounds a night last year. So that's something I think where if he gets 12 and 10, 13 and 10, that makes them even more dangerous. And then some other guys to watch out for them, just rotational pieces. Dylan Geyser, I think he'll play a big part in what they like to do in just terms of getting up and down fast. Geyser's a heck of a football player. Him and Cash in the backfield are just a very dynamic duo. And if they're to beat Boyle County on Friday night, those two are the main reasons why. So those are some guys to look out for, I think, in terms of how that'll play out. And then just a matter of depth. Tegan Stava, I think, will help him. I think he was, kind of a guard that came off the bench at times last year, so he'll be a big piece for them. And then just kind of looking elsewhere, that's where I think there might be one question mark with them is just what they have behind those 5 or 6 guys that I named in terms of depth. But I think you and I both know, come late February, early March, you're going 6, maybe 7 deep. But their style of play, I mean, they're going to want to score in the 80s, 90s. They're going to be one of the higher scoring teams in the state this year with Coach Jake Leland and another guy that, knows how to get it done. He was a part of very successful Covington Catholic teams and then went on to play his college basketball at Bellarmine under Scotty Davenport. So, he's in his second year with these guys and, they're gonna. You coach at Cov Cath, you're gonna have pressure regardless. But you come in as the preseason number 1 in the region and a top 5 team in the state, and obviously those expectations are going to be sky high for the Colonels. And I think, their mindset is going to be, state championship or bust this year with what the talent they have, and I think they have the talent to do it. It's just a matter of putting the pieces together and finding the right ways to do it and getting it done.
And I've heard their name mentioned a lot, just from multiple people, not just from LinkNKY, but other, that expect them to compete for the state as well. So, I mean. Yeah,
Courier Journal poll, I think, had them 3. It was St. X 1. Who was 2? Dang. My mind went blank.
I saw the poll, too, and I can't remember.
Yeah, but they're 3, which is crazy because they're the only ranked team out of Northern Kentucky in the top 25. Can you believe that?
No, I can't.
It is a little bit of a down year, but I think Holy Cross should be in there, and I think Highlands could be right there towards that 20 to 25 range.
And we always know that, in the preseason, a lot of things don't shake out the way you expect, and come times for the postseason, there's going to be and we'll see that with our player rankings as well, though. I mean,
it's traditional names too.
Sure.
I mean, a lot of those, traditional teams are going to be in there regardless of what they have. So yeah, there's my top 10. Sound off if you like, but like I said, I think 4 through 8 very interchangeable. and then 2 and 3 are interchangeable, and then there's a clear-cut number 1. So
Well,
that's kind of how I see it, and then we'll know come December 1st when they roll the ball out.
and we can go straight into your top 10 players as well. I've already got
Okay.
them ready to go, and
I won't go too deep into them just because of
well,
how
I
I
mean,
explain
some
the
of them you've
teams.
already mentioned and talked about, and
Right. So yeah, let me pull that up here.
start with number 10 as well.
Yeah.
And I was looking for Braden Myrick, and I've not went through every game. I was trying to. I know he hit 6 one game, maybe 7 another game. I saw a 4, but I remember a 9 or 10. Maybe it wasn't last year. Maybe it was the year before or something. But
Okay.
I remember a game. I remember him hitting a lot. Maybe I just haven't seen it yet.
Hold on. Let me see if I can find
He
it.
hit 6 against Bratton County late in the year, 6 of 9. Definitely a sniper. I mean, he was 9 of 17 against Paris on February 21st.
He hit
9
11 against Fleming County. School record.
Where's that at?
I just looked up Travis Skaggs' Twitter post. February 16th, 2024. Braden Myrick broke the school record with 11 threes tonight in Mason County's 93-72.
So that was 2024 is the year before.
Oh, yeah. So I guess that was the year before. Okay. So he was a freshman that did that. Wow. Lighten it up. But yeah, I'll be curious to see how he fits into that role. But as far as top 10, number 10, I got Donovan Bradshaw from CovCaf. Like I mentioned, I think he can pour in a double-double nightly, a guy that's going to be a big piece to how successful CovCaf is. And I think if there's an X factor on that team, it's Bradshaw. You know, if you see him with a high amount of rebounds, being very active in the paint, that's how successful CovCaf's going to be this year. Number 9, I put Luke Arlinghouse from Holy Cross. Just a deadly shooter, a guy that can just flat out shoot it from the 3-point range. Last year alone, let me see here. I'm pretty sure he shot over 40% from 3. If you're shooting over 40% from 3, you're doing well.
I'm telling you.
50, 40, 90, I think is what the high elite shooters shoot for. And yeah, he was 41% from 3. So can light it up from deep. And I'll be curious to see, if he plays more of the point guard role. He kind of slipped into that role at the region tournament when they almost upset Newport in the first round. Thought he played a great floor game, didn't turn it over much. So I don't know if he transitions more to the point guard role or if he's going to play off the ball, but that'll be something to watch for them and just kind of a dynamic to look at.
And I know that Arlinghouse name's a very popular name in Northern Kentucky. I'm sure either his dad or uncle, some of them coach. I think some of them coach some AAU programs. So I'm sure he's got a high level basketball IQ to go with it. So.
Yeah, his dad's the girls coach at Holy Cross. Yeah, Teddy.
Yeah,
Ted's a good dude. All right, number 8, we got Mark McCutcheon from Holmes. Just a guy that has a motor that does not stop. Again, a guy that can average a double-double for the Bulldogs, and I think he's going to have to for them to kind of implement what they did last year in going over 500. I just don't think many people know about Mark because of Holmes has kind of been down the last few years. Last year they built themselves back up, and then it's just a matter of him doing this against some of those top tier teams. He did put up 16.7 points and 9.1 rebounds a game last year. So I don't think him averaging a double-double will be any bit of a stretch this year. And did it efficiently. He shot 51% from the field, 31% from 3. So if he can improve that maybe a little bit too. And then also knocked down 70% of his free throws. So, a very dynamic player. And I think one that, Sam Millsburn's going to lean on heavily this year. And a great kid too. So, I think a guy that can definitely make some noise and, get Holmes to being a competitive team in that district, something that they're, searching to do. Get down to number 7. I got Amonte Lowe from Newport. Again, Amonte, just a very quick guard that can get to the paint on pretty much anybody. A matter of him just kind of developing more of a perimeter shot. And he's going to be challenged this year because he's not going to have, the talent around him like he has prior years. So how does he take his game to the next level without those pieces around where he can just lob it up maybe to a James Turner or a Griffin Starks or have like a Yamil Rondon beside him in the backcourt. So I'm very curious to see what load, Monte takes on his shoulders and how that works out. So there we go there. Nate Rominger at number 6. Again, I won't go too deep just because of what I explained in our top 10. A guy that can get to the paint, get to the rim, and one that's going to be a very important piece for that Holy Cross team this year. That's expected to do big things. Rominger last year, he was right at 12.6 points per game and 8.2 rebounds per game. So another guy that could very easily get close to a double-double. And with their loss of William McElhaney, I think that'll improve the scoring of all three of Gabbard, Arlinghouse, and Rominger. That leads us into Gabbard at number 5 for Holy Cross. Another guy at 12.7 points. He's at 4.1 rebounds, so I think that rebound number will improve quite a bit. And a guy that I think really showed what he can do in that region tournament, had a couple dunks in that Newport game, and a guy that can, get it done. Number 4, Cash Harney. Like I said, probably one of, if not the quickest guards in the region. I think, with him, it's a matter of getting more of a efficient outside jumper. Last year, he shot. Let me get there. Give me a sec. What a name, though, right? Cash.
Oh, perfect. Perfect name for a basketball player.
Yeah. Yeah, he was 31% from 3, so not terrible, obviously, but I think an area where it can improve. 67% from the free throw line. So you want to see your point guard with some higher percentages than that, but a great on the ball defender, a guy that just gets it in terms of a winner. Cash has been a winner no matter what sport he plays. He's a heck of a quarterback that can get his team down the field no matter what. And same with the basketball court. A guy that's going to bring tenacity. He's going to bring competitiveness every single night, and a guy that's just going to win. So when I think of Cash Harney, I think of winning, and that's what he does. Then I got number 3, Finn Loudon.
Yeah, this is the kid I want to see play.
Yeah. I'll try and send you a few highlights if I have them, but he's just a flat out scorer, man. Like the guy that sometimes, like when he finishes, I'm like, how did he do that? And when he gets hot, he's a guy that can score 12 points in a 3-minute stretch.
That's what it's a lot like I used to play. Maybe that's why.
Maybe that's why you like him so much.
Yeah.
Huh? All right. at the mean streets of Augusta.
Well,
on the blacktop, or was this in the historic Panther gym?
Well, there's a reason that gym's historic.
It ain't because of me.
Well, and I never got the chance to show my skills in the APL. The league didn't last long enough.
It disbanded.
We're not going to talk about that.
Number 2, Anthony Blacker. I believe Murray State, Eastern Kentucky. I want to say Arkansas State. I know those are 3 that have offered him. Let me see if I can't find another. But I'm glad to see he got those offers because he is a Division I basketball player. No doubt about it. And a guy that's going to blow up this year. And like I said before, he's going to. I think he can score 30 a night. He might have to too. So it's going to be a fun race with him in Athens. I think for the top players in the region. Let's see. I know he's got Murray State, Eastern Kentucky. I want to say it's either Arkansas State or SEMO, like one of those kind of schools. But regardless, he's got a few offers, and a guy that's going to go play Division I basketball. And then at number 1, Athens McGillis, committed to D2 Nova Southeastern. And people are like, D2, why? But do you know much about Nova Southeastern?
No, I know where he committed to because when I was looking him up, of course, I have seen him play, but I didn't know anything about the school that he committed to. No.
They poured in. They're the number 1 team in Division II, and they score crazy amounts of points. Let's see, this year alone, they've played 2 games so far, 87 and 94 points. But last year they averaged over 100 points a game.
Well,
so
that's attractive to a kid who.
Yeah, and that's how they play. They go up and down. That's how they practice. I think all but a handful of their games last year, they scored over 100 points until they got maybe to like the region tournament. But looks like they won. I believe they won Division II last year. So a high level program at the Division II level, and I think a great fit for Athens. So there's my top 10 players and teams.
Anybody who likes to get them down the floor and likes to score, remember, like Grinnell College.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. And I'll start with I did the 10th region, and I'll start with number 10 as well. And talking to some people when I was discussing my top 10, a lot of people told me that I was being biased towards my alma mater, and call it what you will. But I think they're in a district this year that's very winnable. I think Mason County, Bratton County, Augusta, and St. Pat, that district there, I just feel like Augusta's the best of that district there. And at number 10, I feel like they have a chance to maybe even climb higher than 10 by the end of the year. Coach Jason Henson's a competitor. He's going to get the most out of them. Actually lives for that big game, and I can see Augusta maybe sneaking out a district championship this year. But I also know that Brian Kirk, Terry King, and Lex Turner back on the sidelines. So I know those 3 coaches will have something to say about the Panthers. But
it's weird not seeing a Bach, Henson, or Kelch on the roster.
Well, it's funny you say that.
Actually, no, there's a Bach. Caden Bach.
He was on crutches at Orange and Black Madness. He's about 6'4", 6'5". I think he's, a raw talent. And
well, it's weird not seeing a Kelch or a Henson.
It may be a while before.
See another one.
I don't even know if there'll be the boys on the Kelch side are. I know Todd's got some coming up, but and they're ballers already. So. But, Augusta lost heavy graduation. They lost about 44, 45, 46 points, I think, to graduation. But they do return Maddox Hessler, Ross Carl, and Eli Dean, all 3 guys who got some varsity time last year. Hessler started most of the year, and I know Ross Carl got a lot of time as well. So they do return some players that have seen significant varsity action. They're not completely newcomers, I guess, when it comes to, a varsity basketball game. So at number 9, and I probably would have ranked Scott a little bit higher, but I found out, and I always hate this for people, but I always hate it for seniors too, that are looking to play their last season of high school basketball. But I think he was also their leading scorer, if I'm not mistaken. Aaron Hampton.
Yeah.
I think he got hurt this summer.
No, he got it hurt in football.
And he'll miss the full basketball season. So that's a tough break for Coach Fromeyer, who's coming off a 10-17 season and a first-round loss to the district of Brossart. Which the 37th district, which you're really familiar with, it's probably the one of the more competitive districts year to year in the 10th. So hopefully Coach Fromeyer can find somebody to, I guess, make up the production. Hampton averaged 14 points a game, but I do know he is getting Jalen Dodd back. I think he missed some time last year to an injury. He averaged close to 10, and Jordan Clemens averaged 10 points. And, both those guys returned. So, and one thing about Coach Fromeyer, as well as, Coach Souter and Coach Franzen in that district there, and even, Calvary Christian, who we'll talk about a little bit here in a minute, but, that's going to be a competitive district. So, I think Campbell County's had a stranglehold on it for a while now, but those 3 teams are going to compete at a high level come March. So I probably would have had Scott a little bit higher, not that injury. 8, Harrison County. I thought Andrew Case did a really solid job last year. He's taken over for Terrence Brooks last year, who took the team to the regional finals. And I think was it Campbell County? They took to overtime there in the regional finals when they had Caden Custard, or was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Campbell County, I think it was, yeah.
Or did it – I know it was Garen Jackson that hit a 3 at the buzzer. Was that in regulation or OT?
Maybe it didn't go to overtime. Maybe I'm mistaken. We got some fact checkers in the chat. Somebody will tell us if it was overtime or not. But I really thought Coach Case did a remarkable job last year, considering, anytime you take over for Terrence Brooks and you lose a all-world player like Caden Custer, and they also lost some size too, and still to get them back to the regional tournament. Of course, in the regional tournament, I think they ran into Montgomery County in the first round, which we know eventually went on to win the region and make a really run at the state title.
What's Caden doing now? Is he playing football or basketball?
Actually, I'm not sure. I saw him at a couple soccer games to watch Keeley this year when I was watching Pendleton play. I saw him at the district and maybe another game. But I do know he was at Georgetown. I don't know if he's choosing one sport or the other. I haven't really know. Maybe one of the things I like to do with this channel is do like a Where Are They Now, and bring some 10th, 9th region legends on here to chat with us, because we will have a guest most nights. And just to give you a heads up, I think Chris Lofton's going to be joining us here in the next few weeks, so that'll be a good show as well.
Let's go.
But Case, he loses Boyers and Jashawn Lewis, but he also returns 8 seniors that were all juniors last year, and he gets a senior back, a point guard that was injured, and that was Jack Midden. So anytime I think you return 8 seniors, I think you're going to be a competitive bunch. And in that district there, right now I got Nicholas County at the top of that district, but I think Pendleton and Harrison County both can make a run at that district. At number 7, Bishop Brossart and Coach Franzen. I really thought Coach Franzen was a good hire a couple of years ago, and I think the more he coached, the more I liked him. I know maybe had a rough start to his first season there, but I think he's really come along. He made the regional tournament last year, beat Scott in the first round, and kind of got handed at Campbell, and then gave Mason County all they wanted at Montgomery County in the first round. Mason ended up beating him 67-59, but I think that Coach Franzen's got a lot coming back that he can build on from that regional tournament team. I think he lost his top 3 scorers, but he's got 4 returning players, I think I saw, that all played in like 29 games or more. So seemed to be pretty deep last year. A lot of guys got a lot of minutes. And I talked to Will Jones at 10thregion.com, and Will has a pulse on the 10th region, a lot of the teams and players. And he informed me today that they're getting a player back that I don't know if he didn't play last year, or if he sat out, if he transferred back. But Nick Cozy is his name. I don't know are you familiar with him, Evan, being in that district?
Yeah, played football too.
Okay. Well, I think he's back with basketball this year. So I think he's expected to contribute. And I think that'll give, Bishop Brossart, Scott, and Campbell, all 3 in that district there, another year of good, solid basketball. I really looked – we'll talk about it later. I'm not going to jump the gun on that yet. But number 6, I got Pendleton County. Obviously, I know a little bit more about Pendleton County than most because I get the opportunity to see them practice a lot. And they have one of the hungrier, more determined bunches of high school kids that I think that I've seen in a while. They got a really strong, deep junior class led by Josiah Grayson, Camden O'Hare, Hunter Keaton. Parker McCandless will probably help a lot, but they have a very good senior leader and probably one of the better leaders I've seen. And, Dawson Nichols played football, I think just started last year, and excelled in that the last 2 years, excelled in soccer over his 4 years. And now I think he's ready to take on that next role. He's always been a contributor, but I look for him this year to kind of, be that kind of senior calm presence that these juniors are going to rely on. So I really look for Pendleton and Harrison both by the end of the year be able to challenge Nicholas County. At number 5, and I got a chance to see them play last year, Bourbon County. I didn't get to see him at full strength, though, because I think Pendleton County was the first game what Bourbon County played with the kids that transferred from Paris mid-year. So those guys, Andrew Johnson Miles and Quentin Rice, and I think it's Quentin's dad who got hired to coach the football team there at Bourbon County, who had a nice season this year as far as football goes. But I know that they're going to help because Bourbon County lost 6 seniors, and they lost Marcus Ferguson, who averaged about 20 a game, and they also lost a double-digit score into Marion Bird. So, but they also return who I feel is one of the top players in the region, in Noah Earlywine, and I'll talk a little bit more about him when we go through the players because I don't think he gets talked about enough. And when you look at his numbers and stats, I think it's safe to say that he flies under the radar. Number 4. I've got the Nicholas County Blue Jackets. Nicholas County, and I've learned something about Nicholas County when I was doing this. I didn't expect that Maddox Donovan, who was their only senior last year, he led them in scoring. Now, I don't think he led them in points per game average, but he scored the most points on the year. And he graduates, but they do return 4 other starters with Braxton Martin, Peyton Hatton, Caden Smith, and Preston Blake. And I think Nicholas County's done with football. I think they're done with football now, right?
Yeah.
And I know they scrimmaged Montgomery County last Saturday, and I think they beat Montgomery County 85-81, I saw.
Wow.
So that's a really good scrimmage early on in the, preseason for Nicholas County.
That seems like a real competitive district this year.
Yeah, I think Nicholas County right now with what they're returning, and not only with what they're returning, but the talent of what they're returning. I think my only concern with them right now would be kind of depth. They got a solid 5. I don't know this. I haven't talked to Coach Spencer Morris, but I coached against Spencer, and a true competitor, a good solid high school basketball player. But he's got to replace Maddox Donovan. I'm sure he's going to turn to Ty Simons, and if that Simons name sounds familiar to you 10th Region people, it should. That's the younger brother of Maggie Simons, who I have the challenge of trying to guard twice, maybe 3 times every year. So
good luck.
Well, she scored 49 on me last year. So, and that was with 4 people guarding her. I look for him to maybe start. I know he's only an 8th grader, but I think he got some time last year. I think he even played in the regional tournament game against Augusta. But after that, I think Coach Morris has to develop some depth because I think there's going to be issues with foul trouble or so forth that they may have to contend with throughout the year. But I know he knows his team, and I'm sure he's already doing that. But Nicholas County, I look for them to be, some people I've ranked them as high as 3. I put them at 4. So I look for it to be a very good year in Carlisle. Number 3, I went with Campbell County and Coach Souter, who what I would probably consider one of the ultimate students of the game. My assistant coach, Greg Wolf, coached AAU with Brent and still talks to Brent. And, I think Brent eats, sleeps, and sleeps basketball and showing us on, social media what's in his refrigerator. Those are the 2 things I know about Brent. And also he likes to credit or discredit the concession stands popcorn. So, but no, I look for the Camels to have a good year. They lose Garen Jackson, but, and I know Garen Jackson was player of the year, but when I was looking up Campbell County, there's some things I just think need to be mentioned about that kid. He shot 68% from the field on 324 attempts.
Pretty wild, huh?
68% from the field on 324 attempts, and he shot 40% from 3, 84% from the free throw line.
Yeah.
I mean, and I know there was some question last year. Of course, there's always, when you come out with player of the year, there's always going to be someone who doesn't agree with it or whatever. And I know when he was named player of the year last year, there was some murmuring and so forth or whatever. But, man, that kid's special. Man. But, but what Campbell County brings back and what they missed in the first round of the regional tournament, who knows? They played Clark County to a 5-point game in the first round of the quarterfinals of the regional tournament without freshman sensation Alston Davey. And but
they were ahead most of the game too.
Huh?
They were ahead most of the game.
They were. But what I think I saw from them in that game there that's only going to help them, in the future is, 6'9". Braden Elam got a lot of quality minutes in a big time game against a lot of size, and I thought he handled himself really well.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of curious to see how Braden does this year, and what kind of step forward he takes. But anytime you got a player like Alston Davey who's able to make everybody around you better, it's a great luxury to have as a coach. Number 2, I went with the defending region champs, the Montgomery County Indians. Of course, Jason Mays, coach there, and last year won the 10th region. But he did lose a lot to graduation. Of course, we know that he lost Caden Reed, who now playing at Midland Junior College. He lost Ethan Dunn to graduation. And I found out this year early on that Luke Fons had decided not to play basketball his senior year, which is a huge loss. I mean, not only with size, but with talent. We know the Fons name if you're familiar with the 10th region. And we know that 95 region championship game, the show that he and Sean Meyer put on. But I was kind of shocked to see that Luke had decided not to play his senior year, but it's not like the cabinet's bare in Mount Sterling. He still has Tice Jarvis. He still has Andrew Terry, Gentry and Rolette. Those guys are like Splash Brothers. Both those guys are shooting over 40% from three, and they shoot a lot of threes, and they shoot the ball really well. But I do know that they also got to transfer a point guard from Woodford County that hurt his knee this summer, and I'm not for sure if it's an ACL. I would think so. It required surgery, and he'll be out for the full season. His name was Makai Mahorn. I looked him up, and he appeared to be a pretty solid point guard that was coming to Mount Sterling. So once again, another kid who's going to miss a season due to an injury, something we never like to see. And kind of like you in the 9th region, I don't think it's any secret who number 1 in the 10th region is preseason. Now, I don't think it's as clear cut that I don't think it's, I know Clark County's preseason number 1. I think they should be with what they have returning. Also, they did lose some key pieces, but they've also got some key pieces returning. But I don't think it's a clear-cut favorite for them to win. I can see Montgomery as well as Campbell County challenging them. And I look at Nicholas County to be a sleeper team. If Nicholas County is going to win the region, they're going to have to beat 2 of these teams ahead of them. And that's yet to be determined. I'm not going to discredit them or not going to count them out, but, because I think they do have a chance. But, I think the top 3 teams are the 3 that, like you said, in the 9th, won't be shocked if any of the 3 teams advance to RUP. But, GRC did lose Maddie's Hager, who transferred back to Boyle County. He'll be playing football, this week. They also lost Sam Spillman. I don't know if you remember Sam, but he transferred to North Carolina or moved to North Carolina. And I shouldn't say transfer because, he went 7 states away. But and then Connor Morgeson, who was the freshman kid that was a really good scorer, transferred back to Powell County. I'm not even sure he played a game at Clark County. Maybe he did. I'm not sure. But I remember him transferring from Powell County, but I know he transferred back. And they also lost Eli Craig to graduation, and he averaged 10.4 points per game. But they bring in Ryder Akins, who was a freshman at Corbin. He's already got 5 Division I offers, and I think he's a freshman or a sophomore, maybe incoming freshman. I'm not real sure. I'll have to look to make sure. But he has offers from Providence, Fairfield, Stetson, Eastern Kentucky, and Tennessee State. So Providence, pretty big time Division I offer, and I think that may be the most recent one he got. And Ryder he's a sophomore, so last year was his freshman year at Corbin. So they also returned Malachi Ashford, Montez Gay, Amari Bartleson, who I think last year was his first year in Winchester. I think he transferred from Bourbon County. So GRC's loaded again, but I don't think it's as clear cut as it's been in some previous seasons. I think that Josh Cook's going to like the position he's in, but I think he's going to have to work for the regional title. And I think that's something he's willing, he's not scared of any challenges. You go look at their schedule, and they play a pretty tough schedule as well. So, and that's my top 10 teams. Like I said, and like Evan said, you're free to sound off in the comments. I'll post them if I agree with them or disagree with them, as long as they're respectful. And while that's going on, let me get these top 10 players in the 10th. I'm only allowed 10 things up here at once. And when I put the 10 teams up, I have to. All right, let's go. Number 10 players in the 10th. I went with Josiah Grayson from Pendleton County. This is a kid who probably isn't on a lot of people's radars, but he had a really solid sophomore year. I think he benefited a lot last year. He didn't have to run the point a whole lot because of Aiden Merrill, but Aiden Merrill graduated. But with people, he averaged 12 points a game, but he shot 47% from the field. He shot 40% from three and 82% from the free throw line. He's just a solid player that competes on both ends of the floor. And I think he's kind of going to be the straw that kind of stirs the drink there in Pendleton County. At number 9, and this is I really hated for this kid here because this kid I think he was the returning Division III, I think, player of the year in the NKAC. He averaged 21 points a game, shot 42% from the field, 38% from three, 71% from the free throw line. I could probably say the same things about Peyton that you did. A lot of the 9th region players, like, he scored 20 a night, but there's some nights this year he probably was going to have to score 30 just for Calvary to be in some games. They're in the toughest district in the 10th, in my opinion. So, but prayers to Peyton Morrison. He's only a junior, so I hope he has a recovery to where he can come back and play a senior season because he's a nice basketball player. Hope to see him on the floor soon. 8th, and this is one I hadn't really seen on anybody's rankings, but I really like Noah Earlywine from Bourbon County. Scored 14 points a game last year. He 47% field goal, 36% from three, 73% for the free throw line. Also brought down 7 rebounds, so he's a leading rebounder. And he's also adding those pieces this year to help him that were from Paris. Last year, I think, where they were midseason, they were ineligible, and I don't think they got to play a varsity season. So I think with what they're adding, always going to be tough to get out of that district. But, I think Bourbon County is going to have a top 5 team in the region. And maybe, who knows, come March, they may be able to shake up. Who knows? Number 7.
Tennis player, too.
A really good tennis player.
Mm-hmm.
Really good tennis player. Number 7, and I really like this picture here. Braxton Martin, Nicholas County. And it's kind of, when you look at a Class A school and you look at Nicholas County, they almost look like a small college taking the floor. He's 6'6". Caden Smith's good side. Preston Blake looks like a, defensive lineman taking the floor out there, 6'3" or 4. And they just got real great size. But, Braxton also, he plays out on the perimeter a lot. He's listed as a shooting guard at 6'6" at a Class A school. But I've seen him do a lot. He doesn't play just the perimeter. He kind of plays all over. But averaged 16 points a game. He shot 33% from three, which I think for his size, may need to improve a little bit for the next level. I think he's got some offers to play college basketball. The one area I think, he only averaged 5 rebounds a game, but there's a lot of factors that go into that. And I like to see him get closer to that double range. But Braxton's a really nice player. Really nice player.
Sounds like an exciting team in Carlisle.
Oh, I'm telling you, Spencer Morris has to be going to bed smiling every night.
Yeah.
Dawson Gentry. I just remember Caden Reed telling me last year, I talked to Caden quite a bit, and Caden would always tell me about what kind of shooter Dawson Gentry was. And, when I would tune in to watch some games on NFHS or the regional tournament or whatever, kid could fill it up. I mean, he shot 41% from three, which is better percentage from three than he shot from the field. So, but he shot a lot of threes. I mean, 74% for the free throw line, only averaged 9.4 points per game last year. But if you think with Caden and you think with Jarvis, you think with Fonz, you think with Terry, he didn't have to score a lot. This year, I think his scoring load will pick up. Number 5, another Montgomery County Indian. I went with Andrew Terry. I think he's only a sophomore this year, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong.
He was impressive at Rupp for sure.
Huh?
He was impressive at Rupp.
Yeah, and he's got a sister that can play a little bit too. Yeah, he's only going to be a sophomore this year. A really nice player. I wouldn't be shocked if he ends, some postseason, when the coaches nominate and vote on postseason teams, I wouldn't be shocked to see him a little bit higher than 5. His scoring load's going to pick up. He also last year didn't need to score as much, but he averaged 9 points a game. He shot 35% from 3, 67% from the line, which I think he plays kind of, bigger than what he is. He gets fouled a lot. I like seeing him maybe make a few more free throws, but I mean, everybody wants a type of kid on their team. He's a winner. He makes winning plays from what I've seen of him. A lot of rankings. I've seen Montez Gay be as high as 2. Most have him in the 2, 3, 4 range. He averaged 13 points a game. He did shoot 51% from the field, 74% free throws, averaged almost 8 rebounds. His 3-point percentage was down below 30. So I would say, for the next level, that's going to have to prove a little bit. He does have offers from Akron and Morehead State, so he's got a couple Division I offers. Great size.
He's added another one too. I want to say,
yeah, I saw that after
maybe? Ohio U,
maybe. For some reason, I keep thinking Tennessee State, but I'm not sure.
Could be them too. Yeah.
But it seems like Tennessee State's offered a lot of people that I've read about, so I could be getting them confused. All right, at number 3, I went with. Let me get rid of some of this other stuff here so I can add. All right, it's hard to do all this stuff at one time here. Number 3, I went with Austin Davey from Campbell County. I really think he could be as high as 2, and I wouldn't be shocked by the end of the year if he's number 1. I think he's that talented and skilled. Anxious to see him get back on the floor. I could tell in the regional tournament last year just how I was eating at him not to be out there playing. But he's 18 points per game, 52% from the field. His 3-point shot's the one that needs to improve. 26% last year. I'd like to see his free throw percentage improve as well. He's down around 67. I like to see him get up over 70. And he's a good rebounder too at 7 a game. So, but there's no doubt about this kid that, he's a superstar.
Yeah, he's a next level player.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So is this next kid here, who's also got several Division I offers as well. I thought he had a really good state tournament. Just, I don't want to say a coming out party because I think everybody in the state knew who he was and knew what kind of ability he had. But just for him to be able to showcase that on the state level at Rupp Arena is just, it's just a whole other feeling. But he has offers from Morehead State and EKU. He may have more, but what I read, it said Morehead State, EKU, and other offers. But it said he did have 5 total Division I offers, but it didn't list all 5 teams. 17 points per game, 45% from the field, 30% from 3, which I think that'll improve. Good rebounder, 7 a game. So Tice Jarvis will be another fun one to watch. And honestly, him and Davey, they remind me a lot of each other.
Yeah.
And number 1, I went with Malachi Ashford just because I think he's just, he's also got Division I offers, EKU, Tennessee State, but just a heady point guard and kind of, best player on the best team. But, I do want to say that, Ryder Aiken, he's also, I mentioned in all the offers he has, I've not seen him play, so I didn't list him in the rankings. By the end of the year, I think he's probably a player that's going to be on every postseason ranking in the 10th region there is. But
yeah, it's just hard to rank transfers when you haven't seen them.
It is hard to rank transfers. And I'm always, the one thing I ask about when I coach girls and you get these, rankings out there and they rank all these kids, I always ask the people, have you seen all these kids play?
Yeah.
And a lot of times you'd be surprised that they haven't. And, and I know it's hard to get out and see everybody play, but I can say that everybody I've ranked, I have seen play. I can't say I've seen them play a full season, but I have seen them play games. And I am as excited as I am to see Finn Loudon play. I do want to see this Ryder Aikens play because, being a sophomore and already getting an offer from Providence, who I think still in the Big East with all the directions.
There is no more Big East.
There isn't. See, I don't even know. It's all this.
AAC. I think it's the American Athletic.
It's crazy, all this stuff going on. But
Wait, I don't know. Maybe there is a Big East. I don't even know.
Heck, I don't know. It used to be Big East, Georgetown, Providence, all those.
Yeah.
But that's my top 10. Like I said, there are players that I know I didn't include that may be on the postseason when we do our awards, but I think that's what makes the season fun, the journey, the process. But Todd Kelsch did comment something he wants me to share with you, Evan.
Oh, no.
Do you remember this?
Booping. Yeah. Hey, we were undefeated.
We're undefeated.
Until the final game, and I think we were down a couple points in the championship, and then all hell broke loose. So,
well, like I said, that may be for a bye week conversation. But
I had a squad though, man.
I will say that you were probably, as far as drafting your team, you probably had the best squad.
I had an advantage too. I seen all these kids play.
I don't think people knew what kind of hooper Day was. Or
Marcus Day, Ja'Kai Royal. I had some of those Southern Ohio kids, man.
You really did, and it was, But like I said, we will probably, and I'll continue to share stuff on social media. You can follow Twitter. I think it's the Stay Hot Podcast. You can follow me at PT Kelch. I think Evan's got his Twitter handle there.
Yeah,
or not, maybe at Evan Dennison.
I'll post this link to our LinkNKY Facebook site too, and probably on Twitter as well.
Yeah, and it'll be on YouTube. It'll stay up or whatever. Share it. There's a lot of people out in the 9th and 10th region that don't know we're doing this. As much as we share it on Facebook and stuff, it still probably doesn't get out to everybody. Not everybody has Facebook, but we plan on bringing coaches, players on next week. I'll get with Evan and I'll let y'all know. But I think we'll try to do Sunday nights again. But in all honesty, we'll have a coach probably every week, maybe a 9th and a 10th coach, or at least one, or at least some kind of guest. It's easier for us.
December 7th will probably be our next episode because we got
Thanksgiving week coming up.
Yeah.
And honestly, that gives us a weekend, and we'll start doing it. We'll start picking a game or two of the 9th and 10th and doing, predictions or whatever. Yeah. But
excited to start talking to some coaches too.
Yeah, I know. It's the best time of the year, and yep. I usually say college basketball is, but Kentucky's breaking my heart right now, and so I'm not looking forward to that at all. But
no comment.
And I know there's people asking, and I'll address it. There's people asking me about girls basketball, and the reason we don't discuss it is because me being a coach of a team in the 10th region, I would be obviously biased, and I'd rank all of my girls the top 10. I'd be the number one team in the region.
Conflict of interest, I get it.
It is, but like I said, if somebody out there has a big game or there's a good story in the 9th or 10th, because I know the 9th has some really good girls basketball players. Mm-hmm. I know Cooper has the Noel girl I think she's picking up D1 offers left and right. Did she commit?
Not yet.
Commit? I saw somebody recently committed to Thomas
More. Probably Jalen Jones from Ryle.
Oh, okay. And,
Western Illinois, I believe.
And another solid, then I know that Highlands girls has a few players that, but so, we may mention some real stuff, but it's probably going to be focused more towards boys 9th and 10th region. But, Evan, anything before we go? We'll try to keep around an hour most nights, but, first show we had to introduce and stuff, whatever. But once again, I want to thank LinkNKY. Thank Will Jones at 10thregion.com. He's allowed me to use some pictures, and go visit his BSN store. He's got a nice SEC graphic, vintage graphic for the 10th region, and he could probably customize it for you 9th region fans if that's what you like as well. But he is 10thregion.com, so it may cost you a little extra. But thank you, guys. I appreciate it, and we're glad to be back.
Stay hot.
Stay hot. Let's see how this works now.
Yo, check it. 9th and 10th regions, stand up. I say stand up. Stand up. Bright lights shining, about to put on the show. The Stay Hot Podcast, where the real ones go. High school hoops, future legends on deck. Talking next up, stars sport a Nike check. From the hardwood grind to the highlight play. Breaking ankles, dropping dimes, scoring every way. Chasing big moments in every manner. From driveway dreams to championship banners. It's the passion, the culture, the hustle, the grind. Every jumper, every crossover, greatness defined. Shooting the deep three or rocking the rims on the small town stage or in sold out gyms. So lace up your kicks, turn the volume up. The season don't end till we get to rough.